We're on.
We are on. We
We're
are
back
back.
again.
We are back again, starting, goodness, hour number 73 in the week marathon here, a week long marathon of shows on Disc Jockey News TV. Thank you guys for being with us tonight.
I want to make an observation.
Yes.
I hear a lot of people, speaking of speech, things you say in the speech, I've heard a lot of people refer to the bride and groom as the happy couple.
Yes.
I always thought that was assuming a lot.
That definitely can be.
I've done some weddings where we're not too happy.
They're just there.
We're going through the motions. He doesn't particularly want to be there, but he's there just to shut her up. Or she's mad at her mom or her dad, or Cousins. Are they the happy couple? That's assuming a lot.
That would be.
Just an observation.
I guess I can't say I've ever really used happy couple.
I haven't either, but some people say it.
I've heard it. Yes.
We just heard it in a presentation, and I'm sure it can be very appropriate. But again, I always just thought it was assuming a lot to even say that.
Oh, Mauro is
getting. There he is.
We're getting him.
Look at that picture.
To start video. Okay, so he'll have to click that video, and then he's got to turn his microphone on. Mauro, you got to turn that mic on. It's somewhere there. We did this a little bit ago, so it'll just take a second.
Say something, Mauro.
There we go.
I'm here.
All right.
I had to use the iPad. I don't know what's going on with my PC. It kind of crashed.
Talk into it so we can hear you.
I had to go on my iPad because it crashed.
He's messing with you.
Oh, sorry.
That's good.
Mauro, guess what we had for dinner the other night?
What did you have?
Tamales.
All right. Hey, wait. Guess what I played? Look.
Boogie in your butt.
All
right. Hey, can you guys hear me, or should I yell?
Yeah, you probably should be yelling.
Or you slide just a little closer.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah.
You don't want my face in the picture.
Well, that's the business end.
Okay, how's that? Is that a good sign?
That's pretty good right there.
Right there.
Yeah. So, Mauro, what are we going to talk about tonight?
I got death, sex, and health.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, we haven't offended anyone that I know of yet tonight, so maybe some of these topics will be offensive.
Well, let me put it this way. I think that the biggest thing is it might be a downer, but it's also really a good thing to address that stuff. And plus, I like these gloves because I can wear them at my gym. Check these gloves out. Ooh, yeah.
Those are the gig gloves.
Oh, yeah. They're workout gloves. They act as workout gloves, too, by the way. You can grab onto those barbells really good.
You can.
Yeah.
Mauro's
so are we online?
We are on live, yeah.
We're live, dude.
We're live?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So should I start? I got 15 minutes.
Well,
you actually have about 7 minutes now, but go ahead.
No. I do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to talk about how that my life's changed because I'm getting to that age. I'm going to be 60 years old in June. 60 years old, dude. So let me put it this way. A lot of guys, in my case, when I was doing the whole thing here, I was a roadie. I did a lot of things before I started DJing. I went out there and I lifted heavy stuff, and I shouldn't have lifted it because I didn't know any better than that. So when I lifted that stuff, I really messed up my back, and now I'm paying for it. So for those DJs out there, I'm going to just say that a lot of times you just can't do that. You have to lift correctly. And so my thing is to all the young DJs out there, you need to understand health is very important because without health, then everything it's null and void. I don't care. Brian, you go out there with one hand and do gigs, and that's inspiring. That is inspiring because you can do it with a hand that's you can still use it, but not as good as the other hand, right?
It's pretty useless, yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's the inspiration is that you can go out there. That's what inspires me because I go I shouldn't complain because you can go out there and do a gig. So. I'm just saying.
It's not a contest, This kind of stuff is not, I hurt worse than you do. No, everybody's got their own thing.
Let me put it out. Have you been to a DJ convention lately and checked out all the DJs out there? I'm, for one, am overweight. I am overweight, I admit it. And so I need to lose at least 40 pounds, but that's an obtainable goal. I can, if I can lose 40 pounds within this year, then that's obtainable. But my doctor said that if I don't, it decreases my lifespan, and which was a wake up call for me. It was really a wake up call because a lot of DJs don't understand that the biggest thing that as far as disease are concerned is heart disease. And how does that happen? Diabetes, high blood pressure, all that stuff that is caused because you're overweight. And so for me, my doctor opened my eyes because I wasn't feeling good. A lot of issues happen. So for those DJs out there, my recommendation is that, exercise, move. I saw this interview with a 104-year-old lady on the news just recently. She was 104 years old. You know what she said? Move. Yeah, like Ludacris says, move, get out the way. No, I'm seriously, he's right. Move, because, I took my dog for a walk. She needs to be walked, but at the same time, it gave me exercise, right? So if a DJ can just move and understand that that's so critical to your health. Proportion. We can drink, and consume alcohol and take, we can do all that kind of stuff. We have to do it in moderation, because what happens, it'll affect you later in life. So what I'm saying is that if you eat too much, what's going to happen is you're going to have all the symptoms of diabetes, high blood pressure. I wrote it down: stress, anxiety. All that relates to your weight. And it's about, let me give you an example. If you go to a buffet line, you notice the people that go to buffet lines, they eat and they can't eat all the food on the plate, right? Well, the same thing goes with health. If you understand that proportion-wise, you're going to do a lot better if you just take those portions and make them smaller. Instead of a bowl of ice cream, make sure you have a scoop of ice cream, because that's going to be, let me put it this way. You're not neglecting your food intake. All you're doing is cutting it down. There's a lot of DJs out there. Have you seen those challenges that are doing push-ups and stuff? There's a lot of DJ friends that that have these challenges. I can name all of them, but there's so many to name. But you know what? Those guys, they're inspirational too. But I want to let all those guys out there know that you can do it. It's an obtainable goal. Brian, let me ask you this. Your intake as far as food, what is it?
Pretty low.
I know, but what I'm saying is you don't have to, you're not like going to the buffet line and
no.
And that's the point.
You've spent time with me. I'm maybe I'll snack a little bit, but maybe one big meal a day, if that.
If we eat correctly and we eat proportionally and moderately, just like anything else, it's going to do you good. But also exercise. Now, John, I think about a month ago, he's talking about exercise. There's a lot of guys out there that exercise, but there's exercise that isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg. You can do it at home. There's push-ups, sit-ups. There's all kinds of things you can do at home. Running in place, taking your dog out for a walk. Those are just a few things you can do.
Mow the lawn.
There's a lot of things out there.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm saying is that a lot of us DJs, and you know this, a lot of us DJs that we know have passed away, and because of health issues. And why are those health issues there is because a lot of them were overweight, and that's a key. So I'm getting into that thing where my doctor said, hey, you want to live longer, eat less, exercise more. That's it, bottom line. And I'm not trying to scare DJs and saying, I'm not going to be able to do this or that. No, if you just like watching TV, wake up in the morning and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to, there you go. Hey, no, wait. Water is an excellent source of dieting. Yeah.
It's empty.
What is that?
Okay.
What is that?
Starbucks.
Oh, well.
It's empty, though.
No, wait a minute. I got here. Caffeine is bad for anxiety. It is.
It's good for keeping awake when you're doing a 12-hour show marathon, though.
I hear you, but you know what? It can be bad for people that have hypertension.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's in moderation. But my whole thing is to tell DJs is that don't do what I did in my past, because I mean, not that you can't go back and refresh yourself as far as your physical health. You can. I'm just saying that you have to start at an early age, and just, eventually, I'm going to say this. I messed my whole body up. I mean, drinking, lifestyle. I mean, it was just, a party every day. And not saying you can't party. I'm just saying that you want to do it in moderation. And going back to health, a friend of mine, basically, he said, now that I have a really good, healthy, life, that my sex life has increased like tenfold. You know what I mean? So that also increases. See, because that's part of it. I mean, that's where the sex comes into play. That's it. I'm not gonna
Get that
go
in there.
beyond that. I'm not going to go beyond that. I'm just saying that if you are healthy,
It affects everything.
It does.
Yes.
Down below.
Now, when Mauro says you got to start early, what he means is before 60. This is all relative, folks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let me put it this way. I mean, you can recoup from my age, but it's going to be a harder journey.
But you're going to do it.
Yeah, as opposed if you started young, like say in your 40s, 50s, you still got a lot of time to really start thinking about that. Because let me put it this way, I get AARP stuff in the mail and the life insurance policies in the mail, and I just like cut them up. But they're trying to tell me something. They're going, "Hey, dude, you're getting old." So
I can listen to you all day, dude. I love you. I miss you. I just saw you like Monday, and I just miss you so much.
Look, we were crate digging.
Oh my gosh, boogie in your butt. You won that one.
No, I don't want to do that. But look, this is what I'm doing. Protein. I'm not endorsing this. Protein. I'm gonna say, just live a healthy lifestyle, because you know what? In the end, it's the most important, because everything else, I don't care if it's equipment, lighting, that's all like under the bridge if you don't have your health. Think about it. If you do not have your health, you don't have shit. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mauro. Thank you for coming on and kicking us in the butt. We needed it.
No. But there's a lot of guys on Facebook can kick you in the butt better than I can, because they're like,
but I feel bad when I don't do what you say for some reason. I don't know why. Mauro said it and I didn't do it. And now I feel like a heel or something.
No, a lot of times I come home, I go, "Hey, TV, here's my exercise with my hand. TV, yes, TV or exercise." But I don't care. You can wake up in the morning in even a stretching exercise. Stretching is a good exercise. It doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be like it. Some guys are into yoga. Some guys are into Pilates. I think.
Do you know how much I love you? I love you so much that it's really hard for me to tell you that we got to cut your ass off because we're going over.
Oh, okay.
It's hard for me to do that, but I have to tell you, we got to cut you off.
All right.
I love you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Mauro.
Practice and enjoy.
Practice and enjoy.
Make sure you practice a lot.
Boogie in your butt.
We'll be back in just a couple of moments with Mike Lenstra's Stop Thought.
All right, guys.
Next, so let me just get this here and then I'll look into that. Hi all, welcome and to the next version of the DJ News TV mini sessions. My name is Mike with Alexis Entertainment. I hope you have found the first few here enlightening as well as entertaining. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mike and I am the columnist on page 11 every month of the Disc Jockey News with a column I call The Way I See It. And for my segment today, I like to call it story time. Story time with Mike. And for my segment today, I'd like to share with you some stories that I've written about and that I've experienced and share kind of what I've learned with them with you. So the first one I'm going to talk about today is actually my first column, and it was called Cheers, the Way I See It. And in that first column, I talked about the TV sitcom Cheers. And one of the early episodes had Norm, a regular bar patron, in charge of putting on his company party. And discussing this with the other bar patrons, it was decided that a toga party would be a great theme. So that was the plan. So you fade forward and to the night of the party, and Norm burst through the doors yelling toga, only to find out that he is the only one dressed up. The bar is dead silent. There have been livelier funerals. The band strikes up and everyone groans. And Norm says, I don't understand it. They sounded so good on the phone. Well, one of the responsibilities Norm had to the party was finding a date for the boss. So he coerced the cocktail waitress Diane into being the date. Well, turns out the boss got a little aggressive with Diane, and Norm had to physically intervene, and the boss stormed out and fired Norm. With that, the mood of the party completely changed. People came to him. I heard you punched out the boss, they said. The band struck up. Everyone began to party. And suddenly, that band never sounded so good. And I think, how many times have we been that band, guys and gals? How many times have we been at a party, a wedding, something, where we are doing what we usually do that is so successful, but it's just not happening? And maybe it's because there's been some family dynamics going on. It might be that, though there was something happened earlier in the day that put people in kind of a foul mood, but whatever. Sometimes, as I concluded in the article, is we're not as good as we think we are sometimes, but then again, we're not as bad as we feel sometimes. And that's how I concluded that first article. But I have to tell you, since then, I've had a chance to rethink that. In 2013, I was at a seminar in Vegas, the Mobile Beat DJ convention. Randy Bartlett was the presenter. And Randy said something to me that has really stuck and I found to be so true. He said, people don't dance to music, they dance to moments. And that's really true. And thinking back to that episode, it was really the moment that happened when that altercation occurred that really kicked that party off. But the band was wise enough to take advantage of that moment and build energy. So I guess the moral of the story I'd say is, I believe sometimes that it is as much our responsibility to help create moments as it is to play great music. Sometimes it can be things like, sitting with our clients beforehand, finding more out about them. For instance, if they told us maybe they graduated from Ohio State. Well, I know somewhere along the line here, I might want to slip in Hang on Sloopy, because that is played at every Ohio State football game. So sometimes there are things that we can predetermine or help create those moments. Other times it may be spontaneous. I was at a wedding once where the maid of honor got up and said, I am the bride's cousin. We're more like sisters. I mean, we played together on the farm when we were kids, and a little bit later in life, we were in our Backstreet Boys phase, and with all the posters on our wall, and then it was off to college. And even though she went to that school and I went to the other state school, we still remained close. And just by listening to that speech, I knew that somewhere along the line, I was going to play something to do with farming. I was going to slip a Backstreet Boys song in there. and the maid of honor's name happened to be Barb. So I thought maybe Barbie Girl will be a good choice in here as well tonight. But any of those will help create a moment. So the way I see it, it's as much our responsibility to create those moments as it is to pack the dance floor. That's my first story. Story number 2. Recently, I purchased a product called Trivingo, and it is just what it sounds like. It is a mixture of trivia and bingo. I originally purchased the product thinking it would be a great opportunity to work with some of our corporate clients for holiday parties and such. A little bit later, I began to use it for festivals and even a fundraiser or two. But then last year, a former client came to me telling me that him and his wife had bought a bar and they were looking for something to get more people in during the middle of the week. He asked if I could do karaoke. Well, I told him karaoke is not one of the things that I do. I told him, however, I do have this thing called Trivingo, and maybe that would be something that he would like to try. So he was willing to give it an opportunity, and we began doing twice a month at his local bar. And I have to tell you, I was not really enthused about this. I mean, the bar is kind of in an older, kind of a rougher end of town, and I told my wife, we'll see how this goes. Later on, I got another call. It was a former coworker that was taking over her family's business. It was more of a bar and grill. And I told my wife, now this I think would be a perfect fit for the program. So we began doing both places on a weekly basis. And I have to tell you, I was wrong. The place that I thought might be a little rough turned out to be fantastic, constantly drawing crowds of 2 or 3 dozen. It's a party there every week. The bar and grill, things didn't work out there. In fact, last week was the last time we did Trivingo there. But looking back at what the difference was, I've determined it was the bartenders. You see, on my Thursday event, the bartender is just a very personable, outgoing guy. Greets people as they come in the door, has conversation with them. If they've never played Trivingo before, he grabs them a sheet, explains them to the rules of the game, and just makes everyone feel welcome. And even though the bartenders on my Wednesday night gig were also friendly, they weren't nearly as outgoing. So when I looked at this, I thought, how does that relate to our business? And I think we sometimes get so caught up in our music, our equipment, that sometimes we forget that we're actually not in the music business as much as we are the customer service business. It's really how comfortable we make our clients feel, how entertaining we are with them, that really determines our future business. And think of this. When is the last time you went to, let's say, a shoe store and looking for a new pair of shoes? If you went somewhere where there was no customer service, as opposed to one that someone came over, waited on you, was friendly, maybe told a joke or two, which one are you more likely to go back to? I know what my answer would be. So I guess the moral of this story, or the way I see it, is I think that our customer service is as important as any music that we have, as is more important, maybe so, than the equipment that we have, and really determines just how far and how long we'll go in our music business. Now, how do these stories fit together, other than the fact that they both happened in a bar? It's this, is that there are so many things happening around us that we can learn from. Yes, books and conferences and videos like this are great, but still, whether it's a television show or something that happens in a bar, I believe there is so much that we can learn from and bring back to our business to make our business better. Again, my name is Mike. for the Disc Jockey News. I hope you enjoy the rest of the segments today, and we'll see you soon.
So, Brian, I was just thinking as I've been listening to the different presentations today, really what you could correlate this to is like 40-some hallway conversations.
Yeah.
You think about this, it's really not seminars, it's like hallway conversations. And Mauro's was a perfect example.
The nuggets. Yeah, Mauro. Oh my gosh.
The nuggets of information where we're basically just getting together in the hallway and, hey, what's new in your world? And Mauro's like, exercise and health and this and that.
I spent last Monday with this guy. I mean, I was just with this guy out in California. We were hitting every record shop in the San Gabriel Valley we could find. And he's a riot. He's just a riot. He's inspiring. He's fun. He'll go anywhere from music to personal stuff or whatever, but he's always upbeat. He's like Howie like that, you know? He's very much like the West Coast Howie.
Very, very much so. And Howie's another prime example of the hallway conversation. Howie, what's
Howie's a little more
you?
focused
But
than
Howie,
Mauro is.
Howie's sharing the things, some information. It's like we've got this hallway conversation thing going on tonight.
Yeah.
We've got some good stuff.
I like being here. Let me tell you how much I like being here. Right above my head, I got a living room full of very attractive Puerto Rican women hanging out. And I'm down here talking to a bunch of guys online. That's how much I'm enjoying being here.
We've got a good crew that has been with us most of the day. And then there's Juan.
I love me some Juan. I miss Juan.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Juan in a while. I got to get up to Minneapolis, St. Paul
We got to
area.
get over to Midwest. We might have to come over there and do the dungeon suburb show.
Anytime. My door's always open. Literally, it's always open.
Cool gang. We've got 2 more sessions in this video segment because, again, we switch every hour. Yeah. Just wanted to know.
Little something for Jimmy DePalma.
Oh. Is Jimmy watching right now? He's been back and forth. He's been working.
I don't know, but he mentioned Def Leppard when he was talking about DJing for deaf people, so I thought maybe that was from him.
That's right there.
Yeah.
That's right there. Should be a show called At Brian's House. Could be an interesting show.
It'd be like Daryl's house.
Exactly.
Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates, yeah.
I enjoyed those segments. Those were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool indeed. So we've got 2 more that we're going to do here in the next half hour. We've got Scott Rousseau and Jason Jones that will be doing a video for us. And then we're getting to our final 2 hours. Wow. Our night is just going quickly. And hopefully you guys are having a good time. Hopefully you've learned some things. You picked up a few ideas, taken some notes. And if you haven't seen all of them, djntv.com/mini sessions. That page is going to stay up for a little while. So you'll have those links and can check out all the videos. Lots of stuff. Lots
We've even talked about some things off air, ideas and such that you guys didn't even see that we can go back and revisit sometime.
Precisely. This we have. Yeah, Reggie's been popping in and out. He started with us and I know he started with a 6-pack of Pepsi and a 12-pack of beer or vice versa. He's from Wisconsin. It felt like a 12-pack of beer and a 6-pack of Pepsi.
It's a balance there somewhere, yeah.
So again, we're going to jump right into Scott Rousseau's an interview I did with him a few days ago. So we'll be right back with Scott Rousseau. I'm going to get our recording going, and here we'll go. Now, Scott, you've been in the industry and out of the industry, and now you're back in. Now, kind of give me an idea of how long you've been in the DJ industry.
Well, I started my own company back in 1992. And that kind of stemmed from a part-time job I had in college, at a roller skating rink. And that just generated a lot of interest in me DJing people's weddings. And that was back in 82, I started doing that. And then I DJ'd, for 4 or 5 years and moved out of state, came back, and I had a lot of demand for my services from friends, parties, and it just kind of snowballed from there. That's how in a nutshell.
And of course, you've been gone for, 10 years. Is that how long you stepped away from the DJ industry?
Yeah, probably closer to, it might be 10 years now. I was disillusioned with me in the service aspect of things. I was tired of bridezillas and never-saw moms, and not that I never got any bad reviews from these people, but when you walk away from something and you bite your tongue and you just shake your head, it's like, I can't believe what just happened, but you just go on. And instead of taking those challenges and refocusing time, energy, and money on reinventing myself or taking a different approach to marketing and performance, what I did is I just said, screw this, I'm done.
For
And
sure.
that was a mistake.
But I think there's a lot of us out there who, over the years, have looked at it and just gotten that frustrated point.
It was a burnout thing, and so my wife and I invested. Well, my wife wasn't very excited about it, but I invested into a mobile food franchise, and that franchise ended a year ago. And a year before the franchise ended, my wife said, "Well, why don't you go back into DJing? You were great at that. You did really well at it." And I said, "Okay." So here I am again, and really with a fresh start. I think going to Mobile Beat the first year that I got back into it really helped a lot. It rejuvenated me, it refreshed my perspective, and it really wanted me to pursue a next level or two of excellence in DJing weddings.
So what differences have you noticed from the first time you were in the industry, taking a number of years off and coming back? Let's talk about a couple of those.
Boy, marketing. Putting your ad in a wedding guide and going to a wedding show is a lot different. Back then, when I did it, you'd see 6 or 7 DJs at a show, and now you'd see 14 or 15 DJs at a show, and most of those DJs are multi-ops, where before you'd see more individual guys, single ops, like I was.
Right.
Another thing is pricing. I would get, basically, to be honest with you, there are multi-ops out there 10 years later, 12 years later now, charging less than what I was 10 years ago. And so what we're seeing is a saturation of multi-op DJs, and I don't mean to put down multi-op DJs, but one thing I'm finding is that multi-op DJs, because they have such a big machine, have to keep this machine running even during the slow times, and so they're trying to just generate money to keep the doors open during the winter or whatever their slow time is, and so they're undercutting everybody else. In my personal opinion.
Sure. No, and that's running a business. Sometimes you've got to have that lower price to get people in, and as you say, to keep the lights on and keep people working.
And then I guess another thing that is a huge difference is places that market to DJs online, and you pay for leads to see if you can be the lowest bidder to win the job. Which kind of is like, what? So it's like, really? I'm going to pay to see if I can be the lowest bidder in order to get business? And there's a couple of them out. It's like, and I remember when we first started MAP DJ, it was Minnesota Association of Professional Disc Jockeys. We talked about raising not just the rate, but the level of quality. I don't know if the quality has changed. I know there's new fancy lights, there's uplighting. There was never uplighting 10 years ago, but I'm not sure if the quality has changed, but I do know there's a lot more people out there doing what we're doing, John.
Yeah, that there are. We've got a few more minutes here, Scott. Let's talk a little bit about, now that you've come back, how are you kind of targeting a different crowd? You mean we were both a little bit younger 10 years ago.
Yeah.
How has that changed for you from the time that you were here before in the industry and now you're back?
Well, when I first started in the industry, John, I was marketing to a Christian crowd where I wanted to uh, get into the market where people who had wanted to inject an element of faith and Christian music into the reception, as well as a tasteful selection of 40s to current rock, top 40, whatever, and that can be done. Um, and through the first 5 years of doing it, because of the quality of product I put out, I was able to, 10 years later, after 15 years, 2/3 of my business was just regular old weddings, non-Christian weddings, so to speak. I hope I'm not saying that in a way that's going to offend anybody, because I don't mean to, but and so it just was a natural thing. Like, oh man, 15 years later, a majority of my income in my business was from the secular arena.
Sure.
And so when I got back into it, I targeted the secular arena. And then I found out that there's 3 times as many DJs out there doing what I was doing. And so now, just in the last actually 3 months, and with the advice of Jason Jones, when I was at the last Mobile Bee, he said, Scott, you need to just target your Christian community and the Christian crowd. And so that's what I've been doing. And I've redone my logo. I came back in with Scott Rousseau Production. We'll go back with my old name, Perfect Music Entertainment. And so that's how I'm going back to the roots and hoping that that's going to work really well. So.
How did the music, you mentioned, starting out kind of in a Christian arena, working your way into the secular. Now that you've come back, and music today compared to what we were doing 10 years ago, how does that kind of has changed for you?
You mean like top 40 music? Or
Top
Christian
40,
music?
yep, specifically.
Well, actually, I'm kind of excited about some of the stuff. Not that I like all of his words, but I think Bruno Mars is phenomenal. And I mean, I'm just a disco guy from the word go, and he just kind of goes back to that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of the artists have, I remember in the 90s, we were having to deal with a lot of stuff that was really hard to dance to, and kind of dancing around that stuff. Now, I know some of your guests might disagree with me. That was kind of a decade for me that was a little bit more difficult. I think EDM, as it's now called, is really good, and it's not hard to find some good stuff to integrate into weddings.
How have you found working with some of the today's brides compared to brides of 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even 20? What have you noticed for differences in the nuance of communicating and working with them?
Well, there's 2 aspects of that. One is that my hair is much more grayer, and so I'm kind of conscientious of, are they looking at my gray hair and that I'm an old DJ, but there's that aspect of it. That's me, not them.
Yep.
And then the other thing, I guess, is how they're much more, I guess, touching on marketing, for example. Email and texting and Facebook and all this other kind of stuff. Like I mentioned first, you just can't put your name in a book and throw your phone number out there and expect to get business. You've got to have at least an adequate website, not an ugly website. You've got to have the tools to communicate on their terms. And their terms is now high tech. It's everyone else watching this, they're saying normal tech, but from 10 years ago, it's high tech.
A big change from what it was back in the early 2000s, or as you say, the 90s, when we were just getting into this an awful lot.
Right.
So looking into 2017, what is something that you're kind of looking forward to within your DJ business in 2017?
Expanding my horizons, identifying the word I'm looking for is my qualifications. I mean, having been out of the business, you kind of come back in. I came back into it with kind of like my tail between my legs. In fact, I remember a conversation that I had with you a little over a year ago, John, You were having a big meeting in one of the hotels, and you invited me to actually sit down, and you were going to interview me. And I said to you something to the effect of, "Well, I don't know what I have to share, John. I can't help you here." But in fact, I'm looking at a lot of the stuff, and like even at Mobeat, I'm sitting there at Mobeat, I'm thinking, man, I know like 90% of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But I was really worth being there to get that other 10%.
Yeah.
Because there's always something to glean at Mobeat or whatever convention you go to. So I'm looking forward to honing my presentation of my skills and my abilities and my knowledge of what it takes to put together a phenomenal wedding for brides and grooms, and being able to communicate that more effectively to generate more sales and quality sales.
That sounds great, Scott. We are out of time. Thanks for being on with me today.
All right. Thank you.
Stop talking about that. Shh, don't tell anybody.
We can talk about ETX stuff.
All right. Well, they're sponsors. Yeah,
they are
we can do that.
sponsors, and some of you know, of course, I've got EKX speakers, and I love the EKX speakers, which are like a step down from the ETX. And because of the Ben from NLF Expo, Bren is on Tuesday night. Ben Stowe, good man, good company and such. They have got a really awesome deal on ETX speakers until January 31st. So
supposedly.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I talked to Ben a little bit about that. He said that he's going to run the deal as long as he can get away with it.
Oh.
So
he might be able
something to look at.
Stretch it a little bit, but I wouldn't.
No promises. This is what I'm hearing.
Yes. I'm one that I've been debating. I've been kicking. I don't need those 12-inch two-ways, but I've really wanted to get some ETX.
They're so nice. My friend David Ellsworth has a set, and we did a giant field house last year for, I think it was a homecoming, 850 kids. It was two 12-inch ETX tops, and we had some 15-inch subs from another brand. No problem. No problem. And we weren't even pushing them. We could have pushed them harder. And you can adjust them down if you're doing smaller events, or you can adjust them up if you're doing big events. They're big room. We did a gig for Kohl's Corporate, 4,000 people. Granted, there were two groups of 2,000, but still, yeah, one pair of ETX 12 tops and more than handled it. Unbelievable.
Yes.
I mean, for background music,
They're
still
very, very impressive. I had an ETX 15 top. A friend brought those over compared to the EKX, and in many ways they were very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But there's that, when you're starting to push the volume to the max, that ETX just has a little bit more. And
I don't know.
I think the throw, and maybe Mike Dussault would contradict this statement, but I think the throw on the ETX is just a little bit farther. That the EKX may be more for a near field experience.
Well, I'm not experienced with the EKX at all.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I think that's the case, but who knows?
The ETX are evil. Like, they'll do what you want them to do. I am very impressed with this speaker.
If you need to remove some paint,
yeah,
they can do it. Oh, okay.
Talk to Mike about getting a system too. So maybe we'll get something in here in the next, I don't know, couple months to show everybody here in the dungeon.
Yeah, for sure.
Take them out maybe to warehouse and give them a real test.
Put something to them. They can definitely rock.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got one more segment in this hour. We have Jason Jones, and then we will be back. We're going to wrap up right after Jason Jones, and then we will be coming back at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock Eastern and kicking off that hour with Kristen Cole. So we've got some good stuff coming to you here as we continue our night here on our DJ and TV mini session. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Jones.
Hello again. Today I want to talk about mindsets. Mindset is another way of saying point of view. It's a mindset is a lens in which you look at your life and your circumstances and everything through, and it interprets it. It's kind of a pre-interpretation for you about how things are and how things are going to go. And what I want to do today is I want to make something distinct between two different mindsets. And these two different mindsets can mean the difference between you achieving and having what you want with velocity, or you getting bogged down and emotional and upset by things not going the way you want them to most of the time, slowing down your possibility for success. Doesn't mean you won't have success, it will just surely slow you down. So there's two different mindsets. The first mindset is the most common, and this is the judger's mindset. Now, the judger's mindset is a critical mind, and this might sound familiar to you. So let's put it in a sales situation, okay? So I have a sales meeting, I sit down and I talk to a prospect, we have a great conversation. It seems like I feel like I did everything right. And they decided not to, after I followed up, they decided, we're not really interested. We're going to go with somebody and we're going to save $10. I'm like, $10? $10? Why would you go with somebody else just for saving $10? I don't understand. Like, what did I do wrong? Immediately, the question is, what did I do wrong? Like, how is it that I wasn't enough? And this is that judger's mindset, right? So I'm immediately judging and critiquing. Well, they're not good customers. They're not right, or they're not right for me. Or I'm right. I'm trying to find some way to justify, some way to be right, some way to make that okay, that happened. This is the judging mindset. The judging mindset has to have a reason and a rationale. The judging mindset has to defend that I'm right, or make someone else wrong in order to feel satisfied, in order to be able to move on, in order to be able to any of those things. That's what the judging mindset requires. The judging mindset is exhausting. It really is. It takes up a lot of energy, and it also has you create like lots of drama in your head and around you as you spend all this time trying to figure out what's wrong. Well, as I've said in other videos, there's nothing wrong. There's only what's happening and how you choose to react to it, and how you choose and what you choose to put into it. Now, then there's the learner mindset. And if there is any agenda at all in coaching, the agenda is to move every client from that judger's mindset into a learner's mindset. So what is distinct about that? What is a learner's mindset? Well, in a learner's mindset, if I go to a sales meeting, it seems like everything goes great, and they go, you know what, we're not going to go with you, we're going to save $10 and go with this other person. I think to myself, okay, so first question is, what can I learn from this? So what was missing in this conversation? Was there a way that I was being in this conversation that wasn't working? Was there something that I didn't hear in what they were talking about that was valuable to them? Like, I begin to really look at like what it was that missing, or what it was that created a breakdown, or what was I not aware of, or what information didn't I have in order to actually be able to move this to a sale? Or was this was just not my client. This was just not a match. And they determined that I was not a match before we even got started. Is it as simple as that? And the whole thing is that from every experience that doesn't go the way that you want it to, why you can then take from it and learn from it without having to emotionally recover or try to figure out something wrong with you. Figure out something wrong with you is a lot like asking why. Why did this happen? Why? Because why just creates all kinds of reasons and justifications instead of looking at like how and what, or what was there or what wasn't there, and like really putting that together to see what you can learn from it to take into the next meeting and move into the next space. So I really encourage you to explore and pay attention to when you're having conversations with people, and when you're in situations, whether they're with sales or with clients or with your family or your friends, where your mindset, your judger mindset, might be going off with all of its judgments and criticisms and all that of yourself and others. And see if you can, when you recognize it, if you can give that up and really start asking yourself, well, what can I learn from this situation? Or if there's something about someone that I don't really care for, what can I learn about them? What am I learning about them? You know, in a way that isn't judging, critical, put them in a box, that sort of thing, but in a way of like, so, you know, I wonder what it is that has them feel so strongly about whatever it is that has put me off about them. Anything like that. Like, what can you learn? How can you move into that learner's mindset? So first, I invite you to just look and notice when your brain is doing that. Secondly, once you've been noticing and you're able to catch yourself and see it happening, then start thinking, well, what would a learner mindset be like? What would I ask myself? And what would I look at if I was going to be using a learner's mindset here to start like learning from all these experiences and letting go of these things that are producing emotional upsets and things like this, and to be over here in this learning space where I'm learning. I invite you to give that a try. Start looking through the learner's mindset. See what comes up for you. See what happens. I look forward to hearing from you about like your experiences with that and how that makes a difference, or what that does open up for you as you move forward to be able to create and have whatever it is that you want in life. I'm Jason Jones with the Coaching Hour. It was great talking to you today. We'll talk again another time.